On today's show, we're breaking down what we know from the regular season and taking a look ahead at this series against the Tampa Bay Rays. All that and more on this episode of Locked On Rangers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Rangers, your daily Texas Rangers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are locked on to the Texas Rangers. I'm Bryce Patrick, a cripplingly addicted Texas Rangers fan since 2010, covering this team for 10 seasons, including all 5 as a founder and host of Locked On Rangers. Today is Monday, October 2nd. Your Rangers are the second wild card team. Thank y'all so much for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. If you're not already, you can follow me on Twitter at Bryce Patrick. You can follow the show at Locked On Rangers. You can follow my guest today at OG Shill. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube and comment some nice things if you're a Rangers fan or or if you're a nice fan of another team. But joining me today is my guest, Grant Schiller, the OG Shill. How are we doing today, Grant?
I'm doing good. Playoff baseball tomorrow. It's pretty exciting. I don't love that I had to use PTO for it, but Rob Manfred, you can't expect him to do anything that's good for us. So What can you do? Just enjoy the games.
Just enjoy the games, and enjoy the games we shall. The Rangers did not enjoy their final game of the season. They celebrated prematurely, and if you have some thoughts on that, I also had some thoughts on that. Go listen to yesterday's show. Maybe an all-time rant by me on that, and ranting against Astros fans who are undoubtedly still going to be in the comments here saying, wah, cry, having no brain cells, which I welcome. Thank you for the extra views and the extra money. It really, I will spend, an extra $5 on coffee or whatever, thinking of you and your mean words that you said to me, because it definitely personally hurt my feelings because I've never heard it before. Anyway, I want to start by looking at this regular season as a whole. I mean, we'll go into what we predicted in the preseason, which was incredibly accurate, and we both astoundingly predicted exactly this scenario, exactly this saying out. But no, I'm curious, Grant, as to your thoughts. How are you feeling about the regular season as a whole? Because there's definitely a lot of ways to feel, especially with how it ended. But I'm curious what your initial takeaways are and feelings about the season now that it's freshly done.
Yeah, I don't know how to feel still, right? So they made the playoffs for the first time in 7 years, which is amazing and exciting. I'm going to enjoy the heck out of however long we're in it. Mm-hmm. They battled so many injuries and were able to overcome it and still win 90 games, which is a really good season. They tied for the division. The Astros are the technical chance. It was a tie. This new Manfred rule is pretty garbage. Game 163s were one of the best things about baseball. Mm-hmm. So in my world, we tied. In a world with good rules, we tied. And yet it's so frustrating because they set the expectations differently so early with how well they played. And they had so many chances to not just be a 90-win team, but if you had an average bullpen, you're probably a 100-win team.
If you had an average bullpen, this is a 105-win team. Honestly, you went all the way from worst ever to average. Sheesh.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. There's nothing more frustrating than a good team with a bad bullpen. So as much as a step forward as this was, as much as they outperformed our expectations preseason, as much as they battled through injuries to the lineup and to the pitching staff, there's nothing more frustrating than a good team with a bad bullpen. So you feel like there was meat left on the bone. You feel like they wasted opportunities. It feels a little bit like 2012 where you look up and you're like, oh, I'm glad to have the wild card banner, but we really should have won the division. And at the same time, it's just exciting to be back because we've been gone for so long. And they did outperform all expectations at the start of the year. So it's tough to know how to feel. Honestly, I think the way the playoffs go will really shape a lot of the feeling on the regular season too. So if they go into Tampa and lose 2 games, it's just going to be kind of, happy we made and had something, but frustration. If they go on a run, then it's going to be fine.
Yeah, and the last 4 games really just sapped the life out of you. And you thought once they won that game on Saturday, it's like, all right, just take care of business. Surely they'll be deflated. And, the bats for both teams, unfortunately, were both deflated. And George Kirby out there throwing a knuckleball in the final game. By the way, it was an actual knuckleball. Like there's some debate about it on the broadcast, but he said it was a tribute to Tim Wakefield. Shout out to him for that. That's awesome. Honestly, it would have been more awesome if they pulled him after 3 innings. I thought it was really dangerous and irresponsible of the Mariners to throw their young ace so long in a meaningless game. He could have gotten hurt. They should have been more careful. They should have just not pitched him at all. They should have taken Julio Rodriguez off the field from the beginning and all of their starters. They should have just literally played their AAA team. So rude of them to not do that. Unlike the Diamondbacks, who were more than happy to do that in a game that they lost the second wild card and went to the third wild card and are going to play against the Brewers, who, Anyway, you have a thing to say?
I think I texted you this. I'm a simple man. I just want world peace, and I want Tori Lavulo, or however you pronounce it. He doesn't deserve to have it pronounced correctly, to be publicly shot and tarred and feathered. The decisions he made over the weekend were driving me insane. And that 1-0 loss, giving away 3 outs in the last 3 innings with bunts and caught stealings, just maddening. So maddening. And like, it is hard to have a feeling for like how to feel. And I don't want to tell anybody how to feel. Like, if you want to be pissed off and think this season was a whole failure, that's your right. Go do that. Like that. It's perfectly logical to feel that way. And if you want to say, oh, actually, this is a great season and everything's happy, and all you people who are sad, stop being sad. Well, don't tell people how to feel. But like, I don't blame you for being, optimistic. Like, it's such a weird place to be. And like, I don't know how to reconcile those two things of like, this was great, but also it could have and probably should have been much better. Like, I don't know how to do that. I'm not as emotionally healthy enough to like hold both those things at the same time. Maybe I do need more therapy or something. I don't know. Can you find any way to reconcile those without like waiting until the postseason? Because it's like, if they go and win it all, then it's like, yes, it's an amazing season, and everyone's going to completely forget about like, even if they go to like the ALCS, they're going to completely forget about the collapse down the stretch. It's such a strange season, such a strange up and down season, that you don't normally see such high highs and such low lows over and over and over again. So, I mean, I don't know that we have any season to compare it to. I'm just glad we got in. If I look back on it objectively, at the end of the day, I'm probably going to say, it was a great year, 90 wins, back in the playoffs. But as far as how I'm going to actually feel about it, not until we see what happens, really.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair, because like it's like they just lost 94 games, and this is like outside of the new rotation, like mostly the same team, and the offense jumping from like pretty good last year, I think really underrated. Like, the results weren't always there, but the underlying data showed like this was a better hitting team than most people thought, and the starting pitching was so terrible and the bullpen was so terrible that it didn't end up mattering. And this year the starting pitching was good and the bullpen was terrible, so it pretty much mattered, and they were also a lot better in general.
Yeah, it's and the starting pitching was pretty good despite, I mean, how many starters got hurt?
Well, in terms of hurt, you had Jacob deGrom, you had Nathan Eovaldi, you had Max Scherzer. Really,
right here at the end.
Yeah, but I mean, Andrew Heaney was healthy. John Gray got hurt at the very end. The fact that he didn't like break his arm on either of those 110 plus mile an hour liners that he took, he skipped one start for each of those, and he stayed healthy until literally the last start of the season. Like, that was honestly pretty nice. And Heaney was healthy, and Perez was healthy.
You know who mattered here at the end of the season, though? Was Jake Odorizzi. He actually would have been nice to have.
Yeah, I didn't get a second of Jake Odorizzi. Man, that is so annoying. It is so annoying, and also would have been nice to have, Cole Reagans to throw in here. But
yeah, maybe.
no one saw what he was going to be doing. I mean, I kind of saw, but not to this level. But we did predict quite a bit from this team relatively accurately. Coming up, we're going to look at what those predictions were, how smart we are, and some other way to fluff ourselves up, feel good about ourselves. But first, this word from our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by Bird Dogs. Bird Dogs are the most comfortable pair of shorts or long pants you will ever find yourself wearing. I literally have not been able to take my Bird Dogs off. They gave us 3 pairs. I got 3 pairs and a pair of long pants as well that I'm very much looking forward to trying out. And it seems like the weather might actually be good enough to wear long pants this week. I'm so happy it'll stop being 90. But even when it is crazy hot, these Bird Dogs, they are so comfortable. They are so lightweight. You know, they're made of the exact same stuff as Lululemon, but they fit way better. You know, they're these regular shorts, they're fit of, you know, they're made of stiff restricting cotton, and you're just sweating through them, walking around all day. But your Bird Dogs, you are cool as a feather. It is so important. Light as a feather, cool, whatever, cool as a cucumber. I don't know. Cool is something that is cool. I'm clearly not cool outside of my Bird Dog shorts. That is the only cool that I know. But if you want to get yourself a pair of Bird Dog shorts and be as cool as my pants are, not the rest of me, but the cool pants, go to birddogs.com/lockedonmlb or enter promo code lockedonmlb at checkout for a free Bird Dogs water bottle with your order. That's birddogs.com/lockedonmlb for a free water bottle at checkout. You won't want to take your Bird Dogs off. We promise you. Shout out to the Everydayers for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. On tomorrow's show, I'll be talking about Game 1 of a playoff series that the Rangers are participating in. So exciting. You can catch every pitch with the hometown broadcast as the Rays and Rangers face off on SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search Rangers. Now, I went back and listened to all the brilliant things we had to say at the beginning of the year on opening day. Grant and I recorded a podcast, and we did something fun that we hadn't done before. Our debutante draft. This was a fun little thing that I don't know if you thought of it or I thought of it. I'm going to take credit and say that I thought of it because it's my show and that's how it works. But we would draft different players who had not made their MLB debuts, and we would tally up WAR. I think we did by Baseball Reference WAR. It doesn't really matter because the outcome is pretty much the same either way. And at the end of the year, we would see who had the most WAR. We did 5 picks, a snake draft, and with the first overall pick, Grant Schiller, you picked Mason Englert, who was technically Rangers property, even though he was a Rule 5 pick by the Tigers. Very sneaky pick that almost lost you this draft.
Yeah, I played a little dirty with that one, and I got the karma I deserved for it.
Honestly,
what did you end up with?
Negative 0.6 Baseball Reference WAR. And I was taken aback. I was shocked by it, but it was so sneaky and underhanded that I respected it. I was like, you know what? Take it, man. That's a great pick. My first pick was Cole Winn, who did not make his major league debut this year. And that's all we need to say about that. Your second pick was Jonathan. Actually, we'll just go in the order. My second pick was Dustin Harris, who did not make his major league debut. Respectable pick. I stand by it. But it didn't happen.
Yeah, he also didn't hit a ball hard after May.
That's nice. Feel great about that. You didn't have to rub it in. He just didn't make his debut. All right. That's where we're at. Your next pick, Jonathan Ornelas, who did make his major league debut, 6 plate appearances, at bats, not a whole lot there, but a 0.0 Baseball Reference WAR. Nothing in your favor, but points on the board, bragging rights because he made his major league debut. Then your next pick, you went with Evan Carter. 1.6 Baseball Reference WAR. You are in the +1 on your picks so far. I followed up with Zach Kent, who did not make his major league debut.
He would have if he stayed healthy, though.
He would have. And I thought he would anyway down the stretch, but nope. Didn't happen. My next pick, I picked Mark Church. Did not make his major league debut. Oh, well. It happens.
Good pick, though.
Good pick. I feel decent about it. Your next pick was Justin Foscue. did not make his major league debut. Respectable pick, but things didn't break your way. Your next pick, Chase Lee, did not make his major league debut. And my final pick, the one I felt, I'm going a little off the board, but maybe he'll make his major league debut. And he did. The only one of my picks who made their major league debut, Owen White, negative 0.2 baseball reference war. Grant, you won 1 to negative 0.2. You had 3 prospects make it. I had 1. And an absolute trouncing. Hats off to you for your big victory. I knew you would win, but I didn't think it would be by this much. My God.
Well, those are some pretty low numbers. I think
right?
I think next year the winner's really going to be whoever has the first pick and can take Langford. I don't know how anybody's going to make up that.
It's going to be me because you went first this year, so I'm going to be going first next year. And I feel really good about punting this year for next year, unless something goes terribly wrong. Hopefully there will be some other options. Maybe some of these guys actually will still be available next year. And hopefully I won't lose with a negative war. If I get Langford, then I think I'll be fine. But we also did 3 reasons why the Rangers will or won't make the playoffs. I had 3 reasons why they would. Reason number 1, if a healthy Jacob deGrom makes 30 starts, the Rangers make the playoffs. Well, that didn't happen, unfortunately. The Rangers still made the playoffs. Number 2, the top 3 in this batting lineup will be one of the best in baseball. Well, 2 out of 3. Pretty darn good. Corey Seager, holy crap, what a year. Marcus Semien, holy crap, what a year. Pretty decent. Reason number 3 why the Rangers make the playoffs. The middle of this order will be pretty good, but especially because of Josh Young. Josh Young is going to be very good and really help this lineup. 781 OPS, 109 OPS plus, all-star starter. Pretty darn good. Middle of this lineup, Jonah Heim with it ended up being he really dropped that OPS way down once he came off the IL. It was around 800, and now it finished at 750, still above average, 103 OPS plus. And then whoever you want in your 6 hole of like Mitch Garver with his 870 OPS, Adolis Garcia his 830 OPS. Makes you look not as great for your Rangers aren't going to make the playoffs because reason 1, you said rotation doesn't stay healthy. I mean, that was true. They didn't stay healthy, and that should have maybe derailed the season a little bit more than it did. Well, actually, 3 out of 5 of the guys you started the year in your rotation were healthy all year long, outside of the 1 IL stint from John Gray at the end of the year. So,
but one of those was Martin Perez.
That's true.
And one of those was Andrew Heaney. And neither of them were they actually were valuable down the stretch, but for the year
they were fine. They were serviceable. 4 or 5 guys. Could have been better. You expected a lot more. Heaney missed out on his 150 innings option. Great performance in the game they clinched. Honestly, truly great performance, especially given the circumstances. Reason number 2, you said Adolis Garcia regresses. All of these changes he made in spring training where he's walking a bunch. I don't know if I believe it. Well, believe it, brother. 2-time All-Star Adolis Garcia. 4-WAR season. Incredible. 39 homers. If he had 40, then maybe the Rangers would have won the AL West. If Marcus Semien had 30 homers instead of 29, maybe they win if both those guys got to their nice round number on the final day of the season, the Rangers would have won the AL West, and we'd be feeling a whole lot different. But we didn't, and that's fine. And your third reason is that there's a lot of solid teams in the AL, which at the start of the season seemed true. There were 11 teams that were projected for 80 or more wins. Only 9 of them did end up doing that. The Guardians were one of those teams. They ended up being less than mid. The Yankees were fraudulent. The Red Sox were scrappy, but not good. Somehow the Yankees still ended up with a above 500 record. So that streak of them being above 500 for 30 years or whatever it is now, still intact. So congrats on that, I guess, in your worst draft position. But yeah, we both had them at 85 wins in the final wild card team. I said that they would win the wild card round, lose in the ALDS. You hedged your bets and did not make any playoff predictions, which I respect you. I was like, listening back, he didn't actually make any picks. You tricky minx. But I had the Rangers.
You're wrong.
Yeah, you were not wrong in that. You said they would not really be the sixth best team in the AL, but they would get the sixth best spot. Which you were right. They weren't the sixth best team in the AL. They were better than that significantly. So great job calling that. That's definitely what you meant. You also did say Izzy Duran was going to be a big key to this team. You were right. He was for huge stretches. And I said Marcus Semien would be the team MVP. You said Corey Seager. Chalk. I mean,
that's a push.
It's honestly a push. You said that Seager would have probably be in the MVP conversation, but would finish below guys like Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge. Well, one of those was true. And you also called him having a 6-4 season. So,
hey.
Yeah, spot on with those picks there. We're pretty darn smart. And these two guys combined for 14.3 baseball reference WAR. Unfortunately, with one bad game, he went from 7 WAR even to 6.9 WAR, which while is nice, is just below that round number. The Rangers have only had one set of teammates finish with 7 or more WAR, according to Baseball Reference, in their franchise history. Do you know who those teammates are and which season it was?
Okay. I've got 2 options in my mind. I've got A-Rod and Pudge in whatever 1 or 2 years that they overlapped.
I think that was 2001, but the answer is wrong.
And
there was an 8.5 WAR season and a 5 WAR season from Pudge. So
okay,
close, but no cigar.
I've got okay. You know what? I'm going to throw a third option. So I've got my second option. I'm going to go Gonzalez and Pudge in the late 90s, but I doubt that they did that because Gonzalez wouldn't have had much defensive value.
No, they did not. I didn't even look that up, but I looked up the big WAR seasons, and Gonzalez was not there.
And my third guess would be Hamilton and Beltran, either 11 or 12.
No, they did not. So, A-Rod was one of them. So the second most WAR, the only one of 2 pairs of teammates that had more WAR. 03, A-Rod at 8.4, and Hank Blaylock's at 6.4 WAR. I did not expect that. That's 14.8 combined WAR. But the only 2 teammates with 7 WAR seasons at the same time, 2019, Lance Lynn and Mike Minor. 7.9 WAR for Mike Minor, 7.7 for Lance Lynn. Combined 15.6 WAR on that team. Absolutely buck wild. I will never get over those. Are the 2 highest Baseball Reference WAR seasons for any Texas Rangers pitcher in history. What a wild and weird combination that is.
Alex Cora is very triggered if you heard that.
He's very triggered. You know, who can ask me if I care, buddy? Ugh, what an iconic statement. Coming up, we're going to look at this series, where the Rangers have the edge, how far they'll go in the playoffs. I will make Grant actually pick some playoff picks. But first, this word from our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Snap into the action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there is no better time to get in on the action. The app is super easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. Sure, they got some odds on the Rangers to win the World Series if you were feeling very frisky about that. I'm sure if you put down a little bit of money, then there is a chance that you win a lot if the Rangers do that. I don't know that they will, and I'm not encouraging you to do so, but I am encouraging you to go check it out on FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season. Obviously, your bets on Cowboys football are much more safe than Texas Rangers World Series bets. So check out FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Now, here we are at the postseason. The Rangers will be taking on the Rays in a best-of-3 series. Their Game 1 starter has officially been declared. Jordan Montgomery, a lefty on the hill, a guy who's been pretty darn reliable. 2.1 WAR in his, 11 or so starts with the Rangers? 11 starts, exactly. 2.79 ERA. How are you feeling about this series against the Rays? Is it abject terror, or is it you screw it, but whatever happens, and I'm ready for it?
The latter. I'm just excited to watch playoff baseball again. It feels like old times doing it in the Trop, and I really just pray that they win this series so we get home games. I want to go to a playoff game again so badly. Now, if you want a prediction, Or are we going to save that for a little bit later?
Not much later. I mean, we'll go with the edges and the like who has the edge in different parts.
Okay.
I think lineup. I say edge Rangers. What do you say?
Slightly Rangers, yeah.
Well, they're pretty hurt right now. There's quite a few guys that are missing, so that's why I think it's more of a clear edge. The Rangers starting pitchers. That's a real question. Who do you think you're going with?
So, okay. So it's Monty, Broken Evaldi, and Dunny.
Evaldi was throwing 98 in the last start.
He may not be broken anymore.
Dunning would be on short rest if they did throw him. So
probably
it would be short rest back-to-back times. So
okay. So like a Dunny conglomerate against Glasnow, Savali, and who am I forgetting here? Eflin.
It's Montgomery Glasnow game 1, TBD, which is going to be Evaldi, Eflin in game 2, and then TBD in game 3, which I think it's probably going to be who is the guy they traded for that you just said? Savali? Yeah. Savali has a 5.3 ERA in 10 starts with them. I didn't realize he'd been that bad.
I don't believe in him at all. I think Glasnow is a guy who the Rangers probably match up with pretty well in that they don't expand a lot and they get the fastballs in the zone. The Rays obviously have the better pitching staff, but as far as matchups for the series, I kind of like the Rangers starters if Evaldi is healthy-ish. If Evaldi's broken, then you put it back towards the Rays.
Yeah, and Montgomery is a lefty, and the Rangers threw 2 lefties in that series in the Trop and got absolutely obliterated. Now, it was Martin Perez and Andrew Heaney, who are objectively worse than Jordan Montgomery, but still, I think last few things, bullpen, obviously Rays have the edge. Defense, I think the Rangers have a pretty clear edge. Manager, I think the Rangers have an edge there, just like keeping their head on. I know the management of whatever Kevin Cash, but Kevin Cash has also made some pretty clear gaffes in the playoffs. I mean, remember that World Series that they lost and Blake Snelly took out? I don't know.
I still don't hate that move.
I do. I hate it forever. And it's a shame for him, but let's go with predictions. We could start with this series. I say Rangers take it in 3, and it's incredibly painful and makes it down to the last minute, but Jose Leclerc closes it out.
I will say, okay, I'm going to hedge a little here. I'm going to say the Rays take this one in 3, but it's very close to 50-50 total toss-up series.
Okay.
But the AL representative in the World Series will be one of these 2 teams.
Ooh, I like it. So you say Rays win this one, Rays win against Baltimore, and then in the other series, who do you got in the other wild card series? I'm just going to go through my picks real quick, just to get through this. I say Twins over Blue Jays, Twins over Astros in a 3-game sweep, embarrassing fashion. Houston folds its franchise afterwards. And then Twins versus Rays I say Rangers win this series and beat Baltimore in a very close series. It's going to be a lot of fun. Then Rangers lose to the Braves in the World Series. Phillies over Marlins, Brewers over Diamondbacks, Brewers over Dodgers. In upset.
Well, Brandon Woodruff's out. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, he is? Yeah. Never mind. Chalk. Make it chalk. But yeah, Braves, Rangers, World Series. Braves win because the Rangers bullpen does what it does best.
Okay.
After holding up for 3 series, the eventual collapse comes in.
Yeah, against the Braves offense, that would be quite likely.
Yeah, and the Rangers I think it would be a slugfest. Like, I think it really would, because like if the Braves make it there, which I'm not feeling super great about my Braves pick because their starting pitchers are so hurt. But they're just too good.
Yeah. I will capitalize on their pitchers being so hurt. So I guess I'll start with the AL. I'll go Blue Jays over Twins, and then we'll have a mid-off of underwhelming teams in the Blue Jays and Astros, which I'll take the Blue Jays in.
Good.
I've got the Rays over the Orioles, Rays over the Blue Jays, Rays onto the World Series. I will take the Phillies over the Marlins, although that's a little bit sneaky with the Marlins having good left-handed starting pitching. But I will take the winner of that series. The winner of that series, do they play the Braves or Dodgers?
They play Braves.
Okay. Well, I'll take the winner of that series, which I have as the Phillies, to beat the Braves and capitalize on the injured pitching staff. I will take the Brewers over the Diamondbacks, even without Woodruff, because the Diamondbacks are the bane of my existence. And then I will take the Dodgers over the Brewers, the Dodgers over the Phillies, and we'll have a 2020 rematch, but this time the Rays will take it over the Dodgers.
Ooh, I like that. That is, yeah, that would be fun. I would be for that. Except I would prefer my thing where actually, you know what? Screw it. I'm gonna go back. No, Rangers win it all. Why? This is the rational confidence. If the Braves make it there, Rangers will take their busted up pitching staff. By then, John Gray will be back. Max Scherzer will be back. Screw it. Rangers win it all. I don't care. Flame me. Well, Jacob deGrom is there for moral support. That is incredibly supporting in the moral way. But before we head out, we are going to do our random Ranger. If you're new to this, Grant and I will always pick a random Ranger from Rangers history. This year, I am going with the theme of the last playoff team. We're going to do this real quick before we get out of here. This is a guy who played 2 seasons for the Rangers, a combined 74 games, had an OPS of 550, played outfield, 6'3", 205, lefty hitting, spent some time overseas, had a negative 0.9 WAR in his big league career. Jared Hoying, yes. Was it when I said spent time overseas?
Hanwha Eagles legend.
Hanwha Eagles legend indeed. Man, I can't believe that he played 70-something games for teams that had aspirations. So wild. Who is your random Ranger before we head out of here?
Mine's a little bit tougher. So he debuted with Arizona in 98 with 4 innings, then did not make it back to the majors until the Dodgers in 2002 at age 28 with 1 inning. And then he didn't make it back to the majors again until he was 32 in 2006 with the Rangers, where he threw 17.1 innings with a 2.6 ERA before winding down his career in the next couple years with Boston and San Diego. Now, this is a little bit before your time, but do you have any guess for who this would be?
I have literally no idea. Just reveal it to me.
Okay, this would be the one and only Brian Corey.
Okay. I've never heard that name in my entire
life. Out of
life.
Los Angeles Pierce College.
That is about as random a Ranger as I think we've ever had. Like that is way off of my radar of Rangers knowledge there. I could not have pulled that out if you gave me a million guesses, honestly. But respect.
It was a big story back in 2006 with the long break between majors appearances.
Well, it seemed like it went good enough. And thinking back to that 2016 team when MLB tweeted out, "Oh, this is the Rangers lineup the last time they were there in the playoffs," and Carlos Gomez. I was gonna go with Gomez, but he was too good to be random Ranger. It just needs to be somebody mid because everyone remembers the 30 games of Carlos Gomez because they were really fun because he was terrible for the Astros and then great for the Rangers and great for the Rangers against the Astros. And another year where the Rangers stuck an AL West crown out from under the Astros that was supposed to be their year. Would have been nice if the Rangers did that again. If that was the case, then I probably would have gone with Carlos Gomez. But that's not how it turned out. That's okay. Rangers are in the playoffs and they are going to be playing playoff baseball on Tuesday. Going to be a lot of fun. 2:00 start. I'll be recapping the game right after, so be sure to check that out. Thank you all so much for listening and subscribing. And until next time, don't forget to enjoy playoff Texas Rangers baseball.